Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan, Radyo, Katipunan, Radyo, Katipunan, Radyo, Radyo, Katipunan, Radyo, Katipunan. Voice of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay at tenista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng kwela. Radyo, 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 Katipunan, Radyo, 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 Katipunan, Radyo, Katipunan, Radyo, Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero sugod, todo sa kayon, tulong at tulong. Lipat na Blue Eagle, galing giting nagigil. Blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, 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 Katipunan, Radyo, 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 Katipunan, Radyo, Katipunan, Radyo, Katipunan, Radyo,
Tara na't simulan ng inyong umaga sa mga magagandang refleksyon tungkol sa ating buhay at pananampalataya. Kasama sina Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, Father J. Boy Gonzales at Father Nono Alfonso ng Kapisanan ni Jesus, Father Cali Llamado ng Manila Cathedral at Binibining Risa Singson Kaupeng ng Light of Jesus Community dito sa Kapit Pandasal sa Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan, Radyo, Katipunan, Radyo, Katipunan, Radyo, 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 Katipunan, Radyo, Katipunan. Voice of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay at tenista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng kwela. Radyo, 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 Katipunan, Radyo, 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 Katipunan, Radyo, Katipunan, Radyo, Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero sugod, todo sa kayon, tulong at tulong. Lipat na Blue Eagle, galing giting nagigil. Blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, 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 Katipunan, Radyo, 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 Katipunan, Radyo, Katipunan, Radyo, Katipunan, Radyo, Radyo, Katipunan.
Tara na't simulan ng inyong umaga sa mga magagandang refleksyon tungkol sa ating buhay at pananampalataya. Kasama sina Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, Father J. Boy Gonzales at Father Nono Alfonso ng Kapisanan ni Jesus, Father Cali Llamado ng Manila Cathedral at Binibining Risa Singson Kaupeng ng Light of Jesus Community dito sa Kapit Pandasal sa Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.
Bigo o wagi? Ako si Risa Singson Kaupeng, book author at editor. Magkapit, pandasal muna tayo. Buwan-buwan ang naghahanap ng trabaho ang kaibigan kong si George sa bagong bansang kanilang nilipatan. Humanga ako sa tibay at tiyagang ipinakita niya kahit dumadaan din siya sa mga panahon ng pag-aalinlangan at pagkabigo. Hindi niya sinayang ang bawat pagtanggi na kanyang natanggap. May notebook siya kung saan niya sinusulat ang mga natututunan niya para mas mahusay ang susunod niyang job interview. Kahit sa proseso pa lang ng pag-a-apply, walang tapon sa kanya. Dahil sa aming pag-uusap, nahikayat din akong mag-apply sa bagong trabaho kahit ramdam kong di pa ako handa at malamang matatanggihan. Ang habol ko ay ang dagdag na kaalaman at eksperyensya sa job hunting. Kadalasan, hindi man lang tayo nag-uumpisa sa isang gawain dahil sa takot nating matanggihan o mabigo. Ngunit kung aayusin natin ang ating pag-iisip at tingnan ang lahat ng bagay bilang pagkakataong matuto at lumago, walang tapon, walang sayang, at walang talo. Iba kasi ang pamantayan ng Diyos. Tayo'y nakatingin sa tagumpay habang siya'y nakatingin sa ating kinalabasan dahil sa ating naranasan. Maaring nagtagumpay nga tayo sa ating layunin pero napalayo ang ating puso sa Kanya o sa ating kapwa. Sa huli, mas importante sa Kanya kung paano tayong nahubog sa hugis ni Kristo. Tayo magdasal. Jesus, gamitin niyo kahit ang pagkabigo upang ako'y maging mas katulad ninyo. Amen.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, The Voice of the Blue Eagle kami, di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay atin mista, eskwela, akida, lahat na. Radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Punero, susa, kayot, tunong at tulong, ibigil, galing, hiting at tigil, UN, white, one big fight. Radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, Katipunan.
Palalimin ang kamalayan sa mga isyong napapanahon. Makisangkot at makiisa kasama ang Simbahang Lingkod ng Bayan, ang socio-political apostolate ng Kapisanan ni Jesus. Ito ang Kuwentuhang Bayan mula alas 11 ng umaga tuwing Biyernes dito lang sa Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM. Dahil naniniwala kami na posible ang isang mas mabuting lipunan at maaari itong simulan sa isang kwentuhan.
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Welcome to another Friday episode dito sa Radyo Katipunan. Muli ako po si John Warren Varquez at kasama ko po ngayon ang ating Associate Director for Programs ng Simbahang Lingkod ng Bayan na si Sir Carlo Abadines and yung ating former SLB staff, no? Cecil Torrecha, no? Welcome dito sa Radyo Katipunan, Kuwentuhang Bayan, no? Hi, Ces and Carlo.
Good morning and Happy New Year din sa lahat na nakikinig. Happy New Year din sa inyo dyan, no? I think first time ulit tayo nagsama-sama sa isang video call in a while. No? So, yan, Happy New Year sa lahat ng mga nakikinig ngayon.
Hello! Happy New Year! Good morning! First time ko ulit mag-radyo sa SLB after so long. Ayan.
Okay, parang ano lang, no? Parang just a quick recap. Actually, na-miss ko yung boses ni Carlo, to be honest. Namiss ko yung boses ni Carlo, no? How's your New Year, by the way, everyone? Before we go to our discussions, no, sa ating chikahan ngayong umaga na ito.
Para sa akin siguro, well, medyo hectic lang yung start, no? There were things that happened. But at least ngayon, medyo stable naman din. Kakatapos lang din, no, ng isang major presentation ng SLB, no, regarding the national situation. And medyo positive, no, yung feedback. So, ayun, masaya ako doon. At baka pwede din tayo magkwentuhan doon sa mga ibang bagay din na nalagay ng SLB doon sa papel na sinulat din namin.
How about you, Ses? Parang feeling ko, naging biktima ka rin sa naiya fiasco nung ano.
Yes, naging biktima ako from a disrupted flight to a rebooked flight to a canceled flight to a delayed flight. I think lahat ng pwedeng mangyari sa flight experience ko na nung first week of our new year.
But di ba umuwi ka ng CDO for your Christmas?
Sa Bukidnon, yes.
Bukidnon pala.
Malamig.
Yeah, tumawag siya sa akin actually, na-miss daw niya ako. So, parang yun, no?
I think yes na lang.
So ako, hindi mo ako tatanungin, Ses, kung how was my Christmas?
How was your Christmas and New Year? Belated happy birthday, January.
Oo nga. Yeah, thank you everyone, no? Well, masaya naman umuwi sa Bohol, no, to spend Christmas with family. And then, thank God, hindi ako nasali dun sa naiya fiasco. Well, technically nasali, pero hindi ako nasali sa mga na-delayed and na mga na-cancel na flights, no. Parang yung flight namin was 9:30 and then yung incident nangyari at around 9:49, no, if I'm not mistaken, AM. So nasa flight na kami when it happened, no. So nakabalik din dito and spend my New Year, no, my birthday with someone special. Was special.
Wow, someone special. At least masaya naman yung start ng taon mo. So, yeah.
Napaka-celebrity ng Okay. So just a quick bali for today's episode, everyone, we will just to have look back of what happened in 2022. No, tignan natin kung ano yung mga kaganapan in 2022. Actually, 2022 was my bali 1 year na tayo sa SLB, no, and then dito ko talaga while working in SLB, dito ko napansin how does the political field work, no, ano yung mga different na mga happenings in politics, no, especially mas natutukan ko yung takbo ng eleksyon, no. So yun, maybe we can start with the first quarter of 2022, no. Perhaps yung major na kaganapan in the first quarter of 2022 will of course yung campaign, 'di ba? The campaign of our political candidates from both local and national. Maybe tanong ko sa inyo, Ses and Carlo, ano yung, sa tingin nyo yung highlights of the campaign na napansin natin? No? Of course, there was this, shall we say, people's campaign as claimed by many, no? And then yung in the national level naman, yung the fight between the two front runners, Bongbong Marcos, which is now the president, and Leni Robredo, no. But of course, ano sa tingin nyo aside from that, yung mga highlights na napapansin natin in the campaign period, no? Maybe both from the candidates and the reactions of the people, no, yung mga voters natin. Ikaw muna, Ses. At nag-freeze si Ses.
Freeze si Ses. Okay, sige. Wala mo na mag-comment, no. Parang ngayon na-realize ko parang ang tagal na noon, medyo blurry yung feeling na kung binabalikan ko yung memories ko, no. So sa mga nakikinig, no, interesting yung experience ko ng election kasi I made an effort to try and visit the different campaign rallies of the different candidates, no. Parang as someone who wanted to observe ano nangyayari sa election, pumunta ako doon, no, at ma-realize mo talaga na iba-iba yung vibes, no, ng per rally. Iba-iba yung vibes ng kada rally ng mga iba't ibang kandidato. Tas iba-iba din, no, yung crowd na nakikita natin doon at napapag-usapan, no. Iba-iba din energy, no. But I would like to say, no, the two front runners, medyo mataas yung energy levels ng campaign nila, no. I guess siguro kung binabalikan ko yung eleksyon, no, I guess one of the things na talagang nakita ko is lumalim yung tinatawag nating polarization, no. We call that polarization. Pero in simple terms siguro, no, without the jargon, lumalim yung pagkakaiba ng opinyon ng mga tao, no? At dahil sobrang iba ng opinyon ng mga tao at sobrang mahal nila yung kandidato nila, no? At talagang may ay attachment yung personal identity mo dun sa kandidato na sinusuportahan mo, it really creates a divide, no? And kami sa SLB noon, na-notice na po namin yon na medyo delikado yung nangyayari kasi nawawala yung tinatawag nating common ground. Parang wala tayong common ground kung saan pwede tayong mag-usap ng maayos, no? Kasi nangyayari talaga doon, ikaw supporter ka ng kandidato na yan. Ikaw yan supporter ka ng kandidato na yan. Hindi, wala na akong tiwala sa iyo, no? Parang ano yun, I
It
would
seems
say
like
na
your
parang
identity is linked towards the candidate that you are supporting,
yes,
di ba?
parang na-reduce yung identity mo, yung pagkatao mo dun sa kandidato na sinusuportahan mo, no? And ako siguro kinakabahan ako sa ganun na sitwasyon kasi alam naman natin na medyo komplikado yung buhay natin, no? Oo, we support candidates, but we're also a brother, you know, we're also a child, we're also a friend to other people. So medyo weird na nagkaroon ng ganun, no? So ako yun siguro yung pinaka-mark, no, na
Yeah.
na ano sa akin. At yung last na comment ko na siguro, medyo magagaling yung mga jingle na ginagawa ng mga tao. 'Di ba? May bagong ano, no, joke. Anyway, hindi ko na yan
Char, gusto mo
pupuntahan.
katahin ko lahat?
Oo nga.
Okay, Ses, how about you? No, I mean, I think, Ses, during the campaign period and the election, you were in Mindanao during that time, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. How
Yes.
about your observation, no, in Mindanao?
I think iba talaga yung naging perspective din ng mga tao or parang pulso ng mga tao sa Mindanao compared sa Luzon because people felt, at least in my circles, people felt like there was already a winner. But when you look at it on the ground, it's as if the conversations or yung mga pinag-uusapan sa Luzon or in the mainstream media is not the same conversations that we had on the ground. And iba talaga at parang hindi natatouch base yung entire political discourse. So kaya parang there was somewhat a disconnect from the national discourse of election to the local and to the kung ano yung nangyayari on the ground at kung ano talaga yung language na ginagamit ng people on the ground. So iba siya. And I agree with Carlo na parang naging label at naging identity and personality mo lang based on who you were supporting publicly during kasi parang January or the first quarter was really the height of it all.
Yeah, I agree with what Ses said, no. And picking up from what she said na yung iba yung nagiging discussion in the grounds and iba yung nagiging discussion sa national. Kasi for example, there was this certain senator na nanalo na it was, I mean, unexpected na siya yung one of the top na mananalo, di ba? And then social media would say, ay, ang tanga-tanga, bakit ganyan yung nabinoto, ganyan. But people don't know, no? People don't know that in the common, in the ground level, iba yung impact ng daong ito, especially in people in Mindanao. Kasi for example, this person has become an instrument in terms of peace talks, no? So ganun mga bagay. So hindi nila alam na ganun pala yung nangyayari, no? And somehow they were judged, no? They were judged because they voted this particular candidate, no, sa mga ganyang mga bagay. And of course, no, one of the highlights then during our campaign season was of course the debates, di ba? The debates were also one of the highlights, no, during the campaign period, no. And of course, there's this particular candidate, no. Of course, the president, no, did not attend, no, and of course the vice president did not attend the debates, no. It somehow changed many media personnel would say that this incident somehow changed our idea of campaigning already, no, and running for political office, that attending debates, no, interviews is now optional in terms of doing the campaigns, no. Yun isa yun sa mga highlights. And of course there were TV media companies na somehow took sides, no, in terms of political affiliations, no. Yeah, so yun yung mga ano, yun yung mga ano. Yes, Carlo.
May gusto lang siguro ako i-comment doon. Maganda yung punto na ni-raise mo siguro diyan, no? And I think magandang reflection siguro yon for mainstream media. Nung nagbabasa kami and we were trying to understand what happened in the elections, we came parang na-touch, we read a reading, no, by a known scholars who are understanding this information dito sa Pilipinas, no? And ang interesting daw na nangyari sa 2022 elections was the retreat from mainstream media and the rise of media that comes from the peripheries, no? Talaga hindi kilala, may bias for certain things, no? So for example, we know there is a certain agency, no, yung hindi ko napapangalanan, no? Pero doon nag-attend nung ating presidente, no? If you remember that. Hindi naman yung mainstream media, right?
Yeah.
Pero somehow they were able to garner more live views than the debates that were being organized by mainstream media, no? And I think magandang reflection point 'yon kasi now it begs the question, ano ngayon magiging role ng mainstream media in future elections kung na-displace na din sila from being able to cover, no, the elections when it comes to the debates, no? Um and I think siguro, no, kumpara sa kung naalala mo din, Ses, no, nung 2016 election, klaro yung role ng mainstream media. When the debates were held, talagang nandun yung mga kandidato at sobrang taas ng view niya at talaga yung mga tao nanonood, no? And so the previous president actually still won with the help of mainstream media. Help meaning the exposure created by mainstream media for ex-president Duterte. But our current president didn't have to go through mainstream media, no? And I think that changes the dynamics of elections. It means you need people to interview you, yung mga influencers, yung mga kilalang personalities to get your name out.
Yeah.
Ayun, so ako interesting lang yung point na yun kasi feel ko that would help us think about how the 2025 elections might actually arise. No? Go, Ses.
Feel ko din kasi before elections, if you try to look at it, parang there was a call na nagiging bias kasi yung media outlets. Parang gets niyo yun na parang there was the issue of the franchise, there was the issue of news outlets being biased, and that led up to the elections. So I think medyo isang factor din yun na medyo parang diniscredit, kumbaga for the lack of term, yung mainstream media. And then nag-elections, kaya nawala din sila sa parang play of it all. Second, feeling ko isang maganda ding na point out dun is the debates that was organized by mainstream media or other usual na nag-organize ng debates was branded as something that's so academic, at something that's so parang it's too there. It's too parang pang mga matalino, parang mga, it was branded as that. Kaya the alternatives rose because it was an informal conversation. It was branded as an informal conversation. Ito na candidate nakakausap to ng maayos in a very casual way, madaling kausapin, etc. That was the branding of it all. I think kaya din isang factor din siya bakit siya sumikat.
Yeah. And yeah, picking up from of course, dito na tayo sa media. And there was I think Carlo mas maraming masasabi si Carlo dito, no? There was I think a research, 'di ba, Carlo, that says actually yung fake news na kumakalat na yon is not actually done by trolls anymore, but nangyayari na siya naturally. 'Di ba? So it's the age of the trolls I think it's gone, but yung natural na pagkalat ng fake news is already happening now. No, I don't know, Carlo, if may masasabi ka dito.
Hindi naman siguro na nawala yung trolls, no? I think there is still operations at that level. Pero baka hindi siya as intensified as before.
Yes.
Kasi parang ang sinasabihan ko ngayon yung mga tao, no, we have to be careful in automatically saying na troll lang yan. 'Di ba? Kasi kung
Yeah.
alam mo 'yon, yung parang may babasahin ka na comment, 'di ba? And the comment doesn't agree with yours. Yung mga ibang tao sasabihin nila, "Ay, troll lang 'yan, hindi 'yan totoong tao." And for me, that is escaping the reality that there are people who fundamentally believe different things from you, 'di ba? Parang yun yung punto, no? And ang isa pang dagdag siguro doon, no, Jan, the years of disinformation, ang tinatawag ng scholars diyan, influence operations, no? What happened actually over the years is that medyo technical na term, no? They call it parallel public spaces, no?
How do
There
we
are
define that?
Yeah, yung definition ng parallel public spaces is that people now live in completely different information systems and information worlds, and they are consuming and taking in different information and narratives. What do I mean? To put it simply, no? The people who were pro Bongbong Marcos and the people who were anti Bongbong Marcos are in completely different ecosystems online, no? And because of that, no, the information, the way you think about the world, the way you see politics, etc., iba talaga, no? And nag-intensify to in the 2022 elections. This was created, no? So for example, no, naalala ko, there were some people who were saying that opposition candidate Lenny Robredo was winning, di ba? Kasi ang lalaki ng rallies niya. But it's because you're inside this system, right? You're
Yeah.
inside this bubble. You were seeing things that were affirming your perspective, but we did not know, no? Hindi nakikita ng mga tao that 60% of the world of Philippines was actually inside this ecosystem, right? And yun yung malaking, di ba, parang reflection point na parang, oh my God, di ba? Kung gano'n na yung sitwasyon natin, how do we build the bridge between
Yeah.
these two ecosystems, no? Yun, so medyo gano'n. And that's why trolling medyo bumaba kasi nandito na yung mga tao sa sistema na to. So hindi mo na
Yes.
kailangan i-fake yung news mo. Parang
Yeah, bringing that into psychology terms. Psychology terms. Wow, psychology graduate pa naman yung kausap ko dito. Di ba? I think it's more of confirmation bias. No? Parang you only accept information that are fit to what you believe, di ba? If that information is against your belief, hindi mo siya tatanggapin, no? So parang ganon.
Yeah,
May
and
iba.
because people were actually unfriending and trying to step out from that space, hindi talaga nila yun makikita because they are not opening up anymore. They are trying to close all these spaces possible to keep their bubbles safe. So kaya din siya, hindi na din siya nakikita ng mga tao.
Yeah. And that's one thing na ko. I mean, personal experience ko is that during the elections, diba, of course, we monitor the different activities of our mga frontrunners natin, yung ating mga candidates natin. And napapansin ko sa social media ko, ay bakit parang Bongbong Marcos na lahat ng mga Tapos there were certain times, ay bakit puro Lenny na yung nakikita ko? Kaya ginagawa ko, nag-a-add ako ng mga tao. No, randomly ina-add ko yung with different political views para mas maging balance yung sa newsfeed ko. Kasi if nagiging lang, puro Lenny, puro Bongbong, or puro so it's with no, yung agenda ko is, basta pogi. Hindi
Ayan, naglalabasan yung mga personal agenda.
With no agenda, work agenda lang yun, just to monitor the So, regardless of the physical attributes, yung ina-add ko siya. No? But of course, just to balance things out, no. Yeah, yun yung first quarter namin na tinasabi about sa first quarter. Let's go about the second quarter naman, no. The second quarter is a little bit more So April, May, June, dito na nangyari yung ating election season, no. I mean election day. But before going to the election day, let's go to the church activities naman. Napapansin natin that there are many church groups who supported particular candidates, no? Not just from outside the Catholic world, but also here in our Catholic Church. No, there were many lay groups and even religious organizations who supported particular candidates, no? which is not which was not happening in the past elections, 'di ba? So yun, any thoughts about this, says Carlo, no, yung ano, even our own society, no, so the Society of Jesus, there were certain Jesuits, many of them actually expressed their support to a particular candidate. Any thoughts about this? Parang ayaw niyo mag-comment, ah. Says, how about you, says?
Um, I think everyone has their freedom to express their political views, and I think that was the main defense, no, of many people when people were questioning the church, or people in position in the church as to why they are taking position. So, well, people have the freedom on that. That is not limited on the separation of church and state na conversation. However, I think there are plus sides and downsides of that. The plus side is okay, we are trying to be politically active, and that is a response of our faith. However, I think taking clear sides for people who actually have the power to become the platforms of conversation in this very polarized society. Medyo nawala yun na neutral spaces for conversation. I know there was a very urgent call for people to take stands because medyo intense yung naging election. That's very important, yes. However, sana hindi nawala yung spaces for conversation for different
Yes.
colors to actually dialogue. Kasi dahil when people started taking stands, people started also to close off people from different colors. So yun yung nawala. Nawala yung neutral ground for people from different colors to talk and dialogue. So yun lang yung pros and cons of it. However, yun, we have the freedom to express our political views.
Carlo.
Para sa akin siguro, no, I've been trying to read the different, I'm not sure kung nabasa niyo, no, may theological reflection din lumabas from LST, no, si Father Eric Canilo, who actually gave a commentary on the endorsement of religious people on ano. And ako at some point when I was reading it, malalim yung reflection na yun, no. It was really good. It was good. I don't automatically agree with all the points, no, but I think it was a argument that was well raised, no. And I look back now and I'm trying to figure out, no, na was that a good move by the, in a sense, the church, no? And I think yun siguro yung magandang pag-usapan, and I think that's up for continued debates, no. On the lay people side, I think that's fine, no. I think the line for lay people seems to be ano, as long as it's from a well-discerned position, no. Parang 'di ba, dinaanan mo talaga proseso, pinagnilayan. Pero yung mas ano siguro concern sa akin on the impact on the religious, no. Though nabasa ko naman din yung argument ni Father Danny Pilario, and I think that's why Father Danny Pilario's piece, no, about endorsing candidates, no, as religious people, yun actually yung nagkatapult ng simbahan in terms of ano, because it created some form of theological argument, no, on how to go about it, no. But Father Henilo's reflection also kind of tempers it, no, na parang to reflect on the potential. I think he sees this as potential unintended consequences, no. And maganda actually baka makausap natin yung mga ibang religious, no, maybe in the future radio programs. Kamusta yung experience nyo ngayon? Nahirapan na ba kayo mag-connect with people after the election, no? Kasi maganda makita yun eh. Was there actually a negative consequence, no, na kung ako inendorso ko tong kandidato na to, isang kapwa Pilipino ko or a parishioner, no, na hindi sumang-ayon sa opinion ko, nakakausap ko ba siya ng maayos ngayon, or meron bang weird parang air, no? So medyo maganda lang yun na reflection point. Yung second siguro, which I found isang commentary ko lang din sa church, no. Understandably, the church is a moralizing institution. I mean, it upholds morality, etc., no. maybe what I was uncomfortable with, no, during the elections was the use of the language good and evil, no?
Yeah,
Right? Like
yun.
right like good and evil, as if I do not vote for this certain candidate, I am complicit to evil. Right?
Mhm.
Di ba? Parang ganun siya, right? And if I vote for this certain candidate, you are literally voting evil. Parang ganun siya, di ba? And I was very uncomfortable with that because I really don't think people think of politics that way. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's how we see the world. And wow, pumasa naman tayo ng compre natin diyan. So sabihin
Ah,
ko na lang, no? The world at the end of the day is both sin and grace. Every single person is sin and grace, 'di ba? And ako, when you start to divide the lines, 'di ba, na parang good and evil, nawawala yung the more human aspect of the whole thing, na we are in a gray area. Hindi ganun kaklaro yung linya. When people make decisions, they take note of a lot of information. That's why it's a gray area decision. Hindi siya black and white, no? Um, Yun. So medyo yun yung naging reflection ko dun about when the church entered into the whole thing much more in depth, no? Yun. So I don't. Ikaw dyan. Ano yung thoughts mo doon sa buong thing na yun?
yeah. Of course, no, gusto ko yung sinabi na mention mo na Carlo kasi yun na nasasabihin ko that mainly no in the ano in religious organizations yung mga bagay, and they tend to tag people as evil if they vote for this particular person. And what happens is that mas naging mas lumayo yung tao, 'di ba? You're already judging me that I'm evil. Paano tayo makakaroon ng dialogue with that, 'di ba? So yun, isa yun sa mga ano ko. And then, well, of course, there's no harm in being politically active if you are a if you belong to a particular religious organization or a religion or whatsoever, because of course Jesus himself is a political figure, di ba? Jesus himself is a political figure, no? So yun, but of course it's always this idea that Jesus himself, no, is aside that he is a political figure, he's also a person of inclusivity. So meaning, kahit if you are a Roman, no, if you are a centurion, no, if you belong to this, if you are a tax collector, for example, who supports the Roman Empire, no, he would still accept you with open arms, di ba? So yun yung ano, yun yung and which is minsan nakakalimutan natin nakalimutan ng mga tao during the time of the campaign period, the election period. So yun, of course we had an interview, di ba, dati Carlo, in terms of church participating in politics. Of course, we reiterate this, that if our priests, no, if our religious leaders participate in political activities, it doesn't mean that they are actually nilalabag nila yung separation of church and state. Well, in fact, hindi naman yun talaga yung idea of separation of church and state, di ba? So yun yung ano. And of course, no, in May, no, May 9, di ba yung election? Nakalimutan ko na. May 9 yung election. There was this, I mean, very evident na, no, kahit May 9 pa ng gabi kung sinong mananalo. No, there was this really big, huge gap, no, in terms of kung sinong mananalo sa ating elections. Now, and many youth, no, let's face it, many youth were, shall we say, disheartened of the results of the election. Many also were happy, but it's expected na mangyayari yon, no. And many, those who supported this particular candidate, parang disheartened, no, sa mga nangyari. Well, of course, it connects with what we discussed earlier, that people tend to reject the surveys, the result of the surveys, di ba? They say that ganyan, no, instead of accepting, no, the result of the surveys, people are actually trying to give false hopes. Di ba? So yun, the result of the elections, no, of course, what were your reactions no during the time of the election mismo no, nakita nyo okay, the result was already evident, no? Says
Well, I think nagsilabasan talaga yung true political colors when we started discussing if we are trying to accept the result of the election. The response of the people towards it. Pero I think I had a mixed feelings during elections, during election day, when we were trying to see the results. It was really a mixed feelings towards the result, but also a sense of acceptance, because I think there should be a respect of the voice of the majority. I think that was the entire point of the elections. And I think trying to discredit it, trying to discredit is just trying to also discredit the entire voice of the majority. Na parang hindi yan totoo, etc. Pero parang I think that was I think yun. Kung election day focus no on the election day result, it needs to have that sense of respect of the electorate and trust in the electoral system, because once you start to question the entire electoral system, I think that's another issue to deal with. Are you trying to question the voice of this millions of people who actually just casted the vote of who they really believe for themselves? So are you trying to discredit their feelings, their judgment, etc. So yun siya na it's really a sense of acceptance of this electorate system, this practice of democracy that we have. Yun siya. Ikaw, Carlo.
Yeah, I think as early as February. Grabe no, cynical no. As early as
Tinanggap na.
February. As early as February, I had a very deep level of, hindi naman deep. Parang I kind of started to accept what would happen. Parang I really, in the midst of the attacks against Pulse Asia, na tinatawag siyang False Asia, I affirmed it. Literally, I went around and in the national situationers of SLB, I was telling them, Pulse Asia is saying what is the sentiment on the ground. It's what's happening, right? And nung binasa ko, if you look at the results of of Pulse Asia nung March or April, it actually reflects the results of the elections. The 60% to 15% ratio. Parang ganun, may ganun no? Of course, tumaas yung numbers ni Lenny Robredo, no, towards the end. But in terms of the 60% majority win, no, of our current president, it was very clear. Pulse Asia had spoken. So, medyo ganun. So, I've trusted Pulse Asia since forever, no, because they've predicted elections accurately for for many election cycles. So, yun. Second siguro, no, tama yung sinabi ni Ses about acceptance and wala we live in a democracy that functions this way, di ba? Parang, I mean, there is a lot to fix, honestly, in terms of political party, electoral system, and I know we have a lot of good friends who are in that field, no, trying to make the changes necessary. Pero yun talaga and I guess yung immediately after election siguro, dun siguro ako medyo na-shock. Hindi naman na-shock, but I felt so sad for my friends who started to say na aalis na ako ng bansa, I give up on the country. Parang as if everything suddenly became darkness, no? And alam mo, when I look at it, no, grabe yung echo chamber. As in, like, yun lang talaga yung naisip ko, grabe lang talaga yung nangyari doon sa mga chambers such that it created that level of fear, paranoia. Parang ganun, no? I'm not saying, no, that this president and the administration is the most perfect administration, but honestly, government is beyond its leader. As in, like, sometimes the bureaucracy, local governance, iba yung dynamics niyan eh. Like, Sometimes it's even independent from who is sitting as president, no? So hindi yung buong bansa hindi lang nakasalalay sa presidente. Yun ang gusto kong sabihin. And I think that's the great challenge for people who are still here in the country, na I think there can be good done in many different aspects of improving our country. Different levels of government. So yun siguro medyo nalungkot ako doon na because their candidate did not win, they wanted to give up on the country. And at the top of my mind, yung matatalo lang naman kung hindi maging maayos yung administrasyon ay yung mga naiiwan na sa lipunan. No? They are the marginalized. As in, they are the ones who will suffer if this administration does not succeed. No? And so yun. So medyo nandun ako sa ano na yun na parang is our loyalty to the candidate is our loyalty to the welfare and benefit and the common good. Yun na lang siguro nandun ako sa thoughts na yun during the post-election period, no? Yun. So medyo malalim yung ano ko noon. At of course, after the elections, nag-shot na ako with a professor. Inom agad ako at the night of when I realized na, well, this is it. Ito na yun.
Let's welcome a new era.
Yeah, di ba? Let's welcome. We have to, di ba?
Yeah, okay. So yeah, let's go na, no. Pumasok na yung the return of the Marcos family. So yun yung yun yung highlights natin in June, July, August and September, di ba? And of course, no, isa sa mga highlights din is of course the composition of the cabinet. Di ba? In the beginning, it was actually a good composition. In the beginning, di ba? It was actually a good composition. But of course, di pa nako-confirm lahat di ba? So kaya sinabi ko yung in the beginning, no? And of course, marami tayong na pag-usapan dito, di ba, Carlo? We had an episode with Sir Arch, no, regarding the composition of the cabinet, no, and yung economic team natin in the government. And of course, tapos na yung elections, no? Let's go to the problems that our country is facing. June, July, August, September, tumaas yung inflation natin. And then yung ating economic problem is still going on. Let's focus in the economy. Carlo, maraming masasabi si Carlo nito kasi marami siyang news na nababasa in terms of the economy. How can we describe our economy at least during the first 100 days or until now of President Bongbong Marcos? Or maybe Cez, you can also give comments regarding this one.
Nga, si Cez yung business major Feel ko ikaw yung mas kaya mag-comment sa mga ganitong bagay. Sige, quick comments lang siguro, no? For sure, no, that the appointment of good technocrats, no, in the
Yes.
so we have RC Balisacan, we have Jock Novak, no, it stabilized in a sense the business environment, no, kasi they were when after the administration naman talaga, each of the business administration is trying to figure out sino yung magiging economic leaders natin, no, parang ganun, who will lead the economy to recovery, no. So initially at the start, no, we needed to get that confidence, and to a certain extent, no, medyo positive naman yung mga lumalabas na balita in terms of business confidence, binubuksan na yung economy, that's after pandemic restrictions were lessened, so there was in a sense a bit more positive, no, but we understand that across the world also we were facing pressures, no, oil, inflation, and to a certain extent, no, it's a worldwide phenomenon. I mean, across the world, di ba, tumataas talaga yung mga cost of goods, no? The problem was, it felt like the country wasn't exactly doing something very clearly about it, no? I think that's the difficulty, na, oo, tumataas yung inflation, alam natin na galing yun sa labas most of the time, no? It's really a pressures from outside, pero parang hindi klaro anong gusto gawin ng gobyerno tungkol dito, no? Inflation is painful because hindi tumataas yung wages din ng tao. Okay lang naman kung tumataas yung inflation, kung tumataas din yung sahod ng mga tao, no? Pero kung hindi tumataas yung sahod ng tao at tumataas yung presyo ng bilihin, I think that's where it becomes problematic. Um, and so initially in the third quarter, the first quarter of the the president, parang we get that sense, no? We're not sure what exactly is being done, no? Or is enough being done. And I remember yung kinausap namin si one of our economist friends, no, kami ni Brother Chesco, yung special conversation about the economy, no? We began to realize, yung ina-argue po ng friend namin noon, was that let us not be deceived that Philippines cannot do anything about what's happening. Parang ganon eh, na tumataas daw, nagwi-weekend daw yung peso, etc. Wala tayong magagawa dyan kasi the dollar was being strengthened. Parang the federal was basically making sure that the dollar becomes stronger and stronger. Pero sinasabi ng friend namin, but the country can do something about that. You know? But she also recognizes that a lot of the problems we face are also structural. Meaning, historical. Mahina yung peso kasi mahilig tayo mag-import. Mahilig tayo mag-import kasi mahina yung agriculture. Mahina yung agriculture kasi previous administrations never really got to solve that problem, no, of the agricultural sector. So, in a sense, it's a parang siyang a mix of historical, structural problems. But at the same time, it's also a question of ano ginagawa ng current administration. I think that was really what was on the top of mind of people, di ba? Na habang tumataas yung pamasahe, no, lahat, etc. What's happening in government? It wasn't very clear.
Though there were measures, no, na people were defending na there were band-aid solutions being provided. Parang two defense yun parating lumalabas sa conversation is, one, yung sinabi mo na it's a worldwide phenomenon, it's a global crisis. Second, people were trying to defend na meron namang mga measures like para may mga paayuda, may mga paano, but parang the problem there or what we're trying to actually call are structural measures to prevent this from happening economically. And dapat kaya niyang like may pang bump off, kumbaga na medyo hindi naman to nangyari overnight. This is since the start of the Russia-Ukraine war onwards. Medyo start pa to ng 2022. It did not happen the end of 2022. Nakita lang natin yung pinaka-blatant results of this global thing during the end. And there were no exactly clear structural measures being done. Kaya sumisingil din yung mga tao.
Yeah, and since we're already discussing about importation, ganyan, no? In the latest quarter, di ba, maraming issues in terms of importation. For example, the sugar importation issue, the golden price of sibuyas. No? So yun yung and of course, connected yan sa sinabi ni Carlo kanina that yung mga nangyayaring inflation natin, yung pagtaas ng presyo, ganyan, importation, etc., etc. This food, yung less number of, anong term man I forgot, yung products na napoproduce natin, no? It's been a problem like years ago already, but ngayon lang talaga natin na-feel, no, ng at high peak, di ba? Imagine 600 pesos yung kilo ng sibuyas, no? Buti nga yung sugar hindi masyadong lumobo yung presyo, no? But still mataas pa rin yung presyo, di ba? So yun, in the agriculture sector, yun yung nangyayari. And of course, si Bongbong Marcos ngayon, na President Bongbong Marcos is actually the agriculture secretary, di ba? In our Department of Agriculture. So yun, it's food crisis na nangyayari, hindi naman food crisis, na parang different products na nangyayari yung mga crisis na nangyayari sa atin ngayon. And going back to cabinet composition, there are still positions in the cabinet that are still lacking. I think wala pang DOH secretary, di ba, until now? No? So yun, wala pang DOH secretary until now. Cases of COVID is still rising. Nakalimutan natin sabihin in 2022, COVID is still there. 'Di ba? COVID is still there in 2022. But of course, no, sobrang if napapansin natin yung takbo ng ating 2022 in terms of politics, economy and culture, 'di ba? We started with yung culture of hate, shall we say, nandun in from January to May, hate to a particular candidate, hate to a particular person who supports this particular candidate, andon. And then of course, nung nanalo na, no, different economic problems yung nangyari, no, lumabas yung different issues, no, in terms of sa culture, for example, no, yung shall we say, distorting of distorting of history, no, sinasabi nila that they are just adding, no, their side in terms of history. The Made in Malacanang na movie, nakalimutan natin yung sabihin, di ba? It was a blockbuster hit, no? And ngayon there will be part 2, no? Martyr, or I forgot the title, no? It talks about Noynoy Aquino naman, no? So yun, everyone, no, time checks already, we already have 8 minutes left, but buti naman we were able to at least, no, give comments, no, from January to the last part of the quarter, di ba? But kayo, everyone, no, tatanungin ko yung tanong na sinabi ko nung nakaraan. Na nagulat si Carlo na tinanong ko to. Where do you think is God moving in the whole 2022? Di ba? Sa tingin nyo, ano yung galaw ng Panginoon sa atin? Or just to make our question medyo shall we say madali, what do you think is God's invitation for us, considering of what happened in the year 2022? Ano yung calling for God? Calling from God para sa atin?
Si says all is grace to Retcha.
Oo.
All is grace to Retro. Parang tagal na yan na hindi ba tayo nag-move on sa title na yan? Where is God in all of us? I think He was beside us. Because God is always beside those who, when we feel that God is silent, maybe He was just silent beside us, suffering with us. Pero I think the invitation really was to listen. People were just hearing noises, but they were not listening. And I doubt if people who were trying to advocate for, yes, let's support this for the farmers, for the IPs, etc. I doubt they were listening intently to the people on the ground. Kasi bakit bigla niyo siyang lang iwan after election? Ginamit niyo lang sila during elections. And parang sobrang inis talaga ako sa ganyan na parang, ano to, pang puppet or pang ano lang. So I think
Romanticizing the poor.
Romanticizing the poor, and parang I think it was really intently listening na sa akin when I started learning sign language, I think the intent listening really comes from more than just the words that we hear. And yun talaga yung turo. And I think God is leading us towards seeing that parang baka hindi talaga natin nakikita yung mga tao, kaya di natin naiintindihan. Baka di talaga natin naririnig. Or baka we're just trying to shut it off. Napakinggan mo ba talaga? Yung sinasabi mong ganyan ang solusyon na dapat para sa mga tao, sila ba talaga ang nagsabi? Yan tao ba talaga? So, I think yan yung the invitation to really intently listen to the other people. Yung invitation. And people were questioning saan ba ang Diyos sa lahat ng nangyayari sa mundo. I think He was there, suffering beside us. So, yun.
Wow.
Pwede na mag-padre si Ses. Ses, pwede ka na mag-apply sa Senecal Sisters.
I would
Wag
also
na.
recommend Hias de Jesus or
Yeah, oo.
Tapos
RVS.
na ako sa phase na yan, wala na.
Kung gusto mo mga ano naman, mga Saint Vincent, Daughters of Charity, yan.
Yeah, oh,
I
Daughters
Gift
of
think
to the
St. Paul.
Poor.
I think too late na sa mga ano dyan. Tapos na ako sa phase na yan.
Nire-recruit ka palagi dahil nasa SLB, lahat ng talk.
Lahat ng talk.
Pwede
Ito,
ba
si Seth
pumasok?
Corecha, nag-isip na magmamadre. I think mga 4 years din yan of my life.
Ah, sige, ako siguro, I gusto ko lang I resonate with minention ni Zesto. I remember earlier on in the previous administration, no, sa kasagsagan ng war on drugs, our executive director told us and asked us this question, ano yung hindi natin naririnig? What are we not hearing and listening to? No? And I think very relevant pa rin yun. No? Relevant pa rin na hindi natin fully naintindihan yung naramdaman ng mga tao. Yung sakit, the frustrations, maybe the things that they were disappointed with in the previous governments. Mga ganon, no? We seem to be in denial to protect our own. And it's not to say na I have lots of good friends who entered government who did their best. And I know, di ba, full intention. They did their best to try to change things, no? But sometimes baka it wasn't just it wasn't enough, no? And the frustration of the people was there. It was breeding, people were frustrated and they wanted something different, no? And for us, it's not for us to deny that eh. Yun din yung kwento ko sa paper ng ginawa ng SLB at saka sa NATSIT, no? There is frustration that should be our starting point, no? If we genuinely listen, especially ngayon, ngayong taon ng simbahan, di ba? Kung nasa ng Diyos, the call to synodality has even become greater. Not synodality in terms of just making decisions, no? Yung to genuinely accompany and walk with each other. And when you accompany and walk with each other, hindi naman yun punto lang na hindi mo nararamdaman yung sakit ng tao. When you accompany someone, it's actually absorbing part of that pain, eh, 'di ba? Para to do something about that also. I think that's the invitation. I think that's where God was trying to move us towards some form of deeper reflection, whether we are in the NGO, academe, etc., etc. Yung last point ko siguro is again the critical reflection. When we say we want change for the country, do we only see it in one candidate or do we genuinely remember at the end of the day, kailangan natin tulungan ang gobyerno. We have to work with government because they have to succeed for the sake of those who need to be whose life needs to be improved also, and only government will be have the resources to be able to do that. Um, Yon, I think those are some critical points to just really think about. That I think it's an invitation from God for us to really listen and also understand things. Yun lang. Ikaw, Jan, ikaw yung closing reflection.
Yeah. Nung when I was in Baguio, no, for yung papunta kami sa Mountain Province, isa sa mga, of course, ginap ko ng opportunity nung nasa Baguio ako na nag-reflect, and I was listening to the song, I forgot the title, yung My Heart Today, yon, My Heart Today, di ba? Where there is fear, I cannot win. Then I was really struck with the last yung sa sa papuntang Koda, yung sabi na if tapos ng lahat and then na 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 to heal a broken world, protect me from myself, growth hurt and the people I may be. Hindi pala yung sa last part yung sorry, and when I've done all that I could, yet there are hearts I still can't move. Lord, give me hope. Yan. Maybe yung invitation ng Panginoon sa atin is to continue giving hope to everyone. Even if times are already hopeless. No, maganda yung napansin ko na nakita ko sa video that hope is when everything is already hopeless, no? So yun, maybe there were many people who became hopeless, no, with the result of the elections, no, with the inflation that's happening around us. But of course, it's important that we continue to become channels of hope to everyone. We continue to become an inspiration. And lagi ko itong sinasabi, we become Christ to other people. We become Christ to other people. Saan ko yun what's the biblical passage na binabasihan ko yan? When God said that I was hungry, you were not there. No? You did not give me food. No? When I was thirsting, you did not give me water to drink. And says, excursus, wag mong gamitin yan mamaya pagsasabihin, no? Warren, libre mo naman ako. I was hungry but you are not there. No, so yun.
Yes, Warren, we are hungry.
So yun. It's my reflection, no? So yeah, maybe God is inviting us to give hope, to continue to give hope to everyone. So yun, no? Yeah, so everyone, there's another year, no? 2023 will be another year for us to share, no, to give love at the same time, no, to be with other people, no, and hopefully, no, this year 2023, all our lives will be better, no, better than we used to have, no. So yun lang, no. Thank you everyone. Time checks already 12:02, no. Maraming salamat po sa pakikinig, no. Shout out natin yung mga nakikinig natin, no. Si Mida, no, nakikinig si Mida sa atin ngayon. Ino-okre ako ngayon sa chat. Ino-okre ako ngayon sa chat, no. So thank you everyone, no. Again, see you next week and dito sa Radyo Katipunan, Kuwentuhang Bayan. Bye-bye everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Parang hindi pa sila tapos.
Palalimin ang kamalayan sa mga isyong napapanahon. Makisangkot at makiisa kasama ang Simbahang Lingkod ng Bayan, ang socio-political apostolate ng Kapisanan ni Jesus. Ito ang Kuwentuhang Bayan mula alas 11 ng umaga tuwing Biyernes dito lang sa Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM. Dahil naniniwala kami na posible ang isang mas mabuting lipunan at maaari itong simulan sa isang kwentuhan.